everybody and welcome back to Sensible SENCO. So tonight's video are on different types of websites that can influence SENCOs. So I had originally planned a video for 5 different types of websites and then managed to list 6 of them out on my crib notes. So that's how it goes in our house, to be fair. The first kind are around legal advice. We've then got resources, specific needs, targets, blogs and professional development. However, I'm not going to go into all of them in detail in this particular video. I'm going to save some of them for some future content, plus the fact it clashes with something else I'm doing next week and I don't really want to share that with you just yet. So first of all, we're going to have a look at websites for special educational legal advice. A SENCO has to know the SEN law. The SEN Code of Practice is not the law, strangely enough. It's just a layman's guidance about the law. The law itself is actually called the CAFA, the Children's and Families Act. And if you need to check your understanding on an aspect and the Code of Practice isn't particularly clear enough, then some of these websites might be quite helpful. And the first one that I might traipse along to go and have a look at is IPSEA. So www.ipsea.org.uk. They offer courses as well which explain the legal content, and I really wish those courses were a little bit more affordable because they look absolutely brilliant, and from people that have been on them, apparently they tell you everything. So if you can persuade your school to pay, do it. The second one I'd go to is www.specialneedsjungle.com. And this one's actually more written for parents, I suppose, but it has some of the best well-known names from legal practice for SEN actually contributing to that website. I love the content on this particular website, but I hate the layout. It just does not do anything for me. There's a couple of others, so if I can't find the answers that I want there, then I would go to sossen.org or perhaps MenCap. There's a site called specialeducationalneeds.co.uk, and there's also childlawradvice.org.uk. That last one there is the one that I referenced an awful lot when I was writing my book about exclusions, because they tend to focus on SEN and exclusions more than anything. The second group of websites I would go to are those that are based around resources. So we all have our go-to websites for various different things, and I have a couple that I will still go to if I want to set up some kind of resource centre. So the first one would be www.senteacher.org, and this website has been around for years, and I do mean years. It's probably one of the first I started using. I've got a feeling it was generated in 1999, so we're talking quite a while ago. The second one I would go to is www.senresource.co.uk. I'm not going to say much more about that, it's just got some great resources in there. And then the third one is Twinkle. Now, I think everybody knows who Twinkle are, but it's a paid resource. We've also got inclusiveteach.com, we've got primaryresources.co.uk. Love that website. It's been around for donkey's years though, and it's starting to look a bit dated. However, sometimes that's exactly what we want. We want something that the children haven't seen before, that they haven't come across, and that's perhaps presented in a more traditional manner. And this website generally has something on there that I can use. There's another one called collaborativelearning.org, and this is one that I used to use when working with my EAL pupils. It's really, really good. It gets children to talk to each other, and it's more focused around games and collaboration. I may even have 1 or 2 resources of my own actually lurking on their site, but it was absolutely great, not just for my EAL pupils, but for getting my SEN pupils to work together as well. And I can't talk about resources without mentioning Maggie Harnew's site. So she's got the skillsworkshop.org. Make sure it's the .org version that you go to. They are designed for older pupils, but they're incredibly useful for that upper end of Key Stage 3 and into Key Stage 4 for our weakest SEN students. Her activities are really well thought through and they need very little or no adaptation, making them perfect if you've got to cover a lesson at the last minute from a literacy perspective or numeracy perspective, but also from a topic type approach. Definitely worth a look at. And then finally, I've got Humans Not Robots. Now, Matt hasn't been updating his website recently. Don't know why, he kind of disappeared off the framework a few years ago. And now he hosts most of his resources over on the TES website. But they are there for free. Trying to find them on the TES website is not the easiest thing to do though. So if you're after his resources, I suggest going to his website, which is humansnotrobots.co.uk, having a look for them on there and clicking the link from there, which will take you into that resource within the TES website instead. It's just easier than trying to find them on the TES website in the first place. The third set of websites that I would kind of go to are those are designed for a specific need. So if I desperately wanted to find out something about fibromyalgia or about cystic fibrosis or cerebral palsy, the sites that I would go to for that. Now actually this deserves a video in its own right to go through all the different ones that are available. But I just picked up a couple of time-served and really loved ones that I do find myself going to regularly. The first one is otmomlearningactivities.com. We'll pop the link for that one because it's got some hyphens in the middle of it. It is American, but it's all to do with occupational therapy type activities such as handwriting skills and cutting skills and tying shoelaces, and it's also got some sensory circuit type stuff on there as well. I love her website, it's absolutely brilliant. She has got some paid materials, but there's plenty of free stuff on there as well. And the nice thing about it is they are sequenced. So when you're trying to develop fine motor skills, perhaps in an older student, if you're a secondary SENCO, we very often don't know where should we start or where do we need to go to. And her website kind of breaks that down for you so you can find out where it is that you need to start with those resources. The second website would be the Autism Education Trust. They've got plenty of autism resources on there. And if you're struggling for courses, so perhaps you want a CPD course to explain autism or ADHD or something like that, have a look at Future Learn. Future Learn have got loads and loads of free courses available on there, and they're definitely worth having a glance at, maybe signing up to a couple, giving them a go, perhaps sharing them amongst a team and coming back and sharing that information as a group activity. Although that would be online at the moment, not near each other, of course. We've also got the very general SEND Gateway. Now, I'm not a great fan of this site. I don't find it very easy to find things on there, and the links tend to take me round in circles. So I'll click one thing and it tells me to go to there, and I click on that one, it takes me to somewhere else, and I click on that one, it takes me back to the beginning. It really needs a look at. It's quite frustrating, but it is recommended as the best site in the UK with the most up-to-date UK information, so I suppose I'd better include it in this series. My next kind of websites I would use are those for setting targets. Now, I don't struggle with setting targets for students because I've been doing it for that long. They're kind of all up here and they just spill out of my mouth when I have to say something. But I understand that that does come with experience and time, and not everybody has that. And if you're trying to delegate that target setting to your class teachers, as you should be, then sometimes blank page syndrome can sink in and they need a bit of extra support. So these websites are great for giving that start a sentence to get them going. The first one is adayinourshoes.com, and this is actually a collection of different sites that offer goals, and I call them goals because it's an American site again, so we're talking American IEP and 504 goals. However, they're still incredibly useful, and I'm pretty sure we can use our brains to work out the language. Might need tweaking slightly for a UK audience, but you can do that pretty simply and pretty quickly. But there's loads and loads of links from there. I would say over 1,000 different links to sites that offer IEP goals and targets. The second one I would suggest having a look at is bridgesforkids.org, and the 4 is a number 4 in the middle. Again, it's another American one, but it's presented in a PowerPoint style format. So you can go down the PowerPoint, click the one you want. It's a hyperlink, so if I click SEMH, it will take me to SEMH type targets. I can then click on ADHD, it'll take me to ADHD. I can click on the something within there, perhaps on concentration, it will take me to concentration targets. It's a really good site again, and I quite like that ability to hierarchy my way down something and work out where I'm going with it. There's a website called ieptargets.co.uk. I'm not going to make a comment about where they came from, but if you're an EduKey customer, see if you can spot the difference. And the final one I would suggest having a look at is behaviourspsych.blogspot.com. That one is a lovely little collection of SEMH and behaviour goals, and we know that those are the types of targets that people really struggle with setting. Okay, so let's have a chat about websites that you can use for blogs, and why would you go to a blog? Blogs tend to be written by people who are in the field, or in the know if you like, at the chalk face, and they tend to give a personal perspective. Sometimes when you go and grab a textbook off the shelf, or you go and look at a website or something, it's not always written in a way that makes it feel like this could be you. And blog posts are great at making you feel, oh my gosh, this person's in the same boat as me, or oh wow, they're having a really bad time, aren't they? Or wow, I aspire to be that person. So there are a couple of blog posts or a couple of blog sites I would recommend having a look at. The first one I'm going to recommend is Lorraine Peterson's website, and she's the ex-CEO of NASEN, and on there she does a roundup of SEN information every so often. It's not the most exciting and brightly coloured website, but then again it doesn't need to be. It's very straightforward, to the point, and if you need to find something, it's a great website to go to. There's also one called senresourcesblog.com, and there's one on the pearson.com website where they have commissioned blog posts from guest bloggers. The final one I'm going to give you is my own website. So I have www.sendcosolutions.co.uk, and I'm getting better at putting things up, to be fair. I believe in quality over quantity, and several of my posts have been nominated for awards, so whilst I'm not the most prolific writer, I prefer to stand and do a video, I must be producing quality content to get nominated for those things. Or somebody feels sorry for me. One or the other. Finally, I suggest websites around professional development. Now, I'm not going to do these today, and I said at the beginning why. Next week I'm involved in delivering the webinar series for TES and EduKey around SEND leadership during the COVID-19 crisis, and part of that is to do with professional development. So all of my content has actually gone into those webinar slides instead, and I don't really want to give you a sneak preview of that because you'll have no excuse not to tune into the webinars if I did that. Anyway guys, hope that's given you some idea of the types of websites I would use and why, and we'll make sure we'll pop them on the screen or in the links below so that you can get to them too. Take care. Bye bye.